Let's get into the agenda, and the top of it is Melbourne's performance in the Alice. With third place up for grabs, the Demons turned in a showing rarely seen under Simon Goodwin as defence and contest, their trademarks, collapsed.
Melbourne are absolutely stunned by this.
It has been all Fremantle.
There's alarm bells there.
They brain them everywhere.
They are on the nose, Melbourne.
A day no one saw coming. A day that could change the course of the season.
That's about as performance as you can get, and it's one we certainly won't tolerate. That performance is clearly completely unacceptable in where we want to be as a team. Clearly our contest was poor, our work rate was poor, our ability to deal with pressure was poor.
The Dockers have been good, but the D's have been poor today.
No want or need to be physical.
They're not going to be a contender the way they're playing right now.
They've put this football club, the Melbourne Football Club, into a flat spin.
When you lose by the margin we lost by, that's unacceptable as a footy club. We have a proud group of leaders that'll be looking to respond pretty fiercely. Thanks, guys.
How deep does it run is the question that sits most heavily over it. Simon Goodwin was unequivocal in his press conference. Here's what happened, Robbo. In Snakes and Ladders, this is like... There's a square on the board, 97, that takes you down to 25. That's what Melbourne did. They went from 4th to 10th. It's a frightening free fall, and it's cost them percentage. They could have been in 3rd if they had won, but when they were 100 points down, you're just scratching your head as to what the hell went on.
It's not one of those days, Jared. We've had 2 and 3 weeks. We've spoken about Melbourne after the West Coast game. Now, everyone on the outside's looking, going, what's going on? And people are pulling apart their game style. People are saying they've got a new game style and they're not kicking it long anymore, they're more controlled. And people are talking about their midfield and that they are beaten up. They want to play Petrarca forward, they want to play him in the midfield. There's all these conundrums. The most damning part of that video montage then of all the commentary was Jordan Lewis says there was no want or need to be physical. I can't remember in the last 4 or 5 years that the Melbourne Football Club, their team, has been accused of not wanting to be physical. I reckon they're one of the more professional mobs out there. They play a hard brand of football. They're a hard team to play against. They were walkovers on the weekend. Now, we can say, oh, just one of those games. It's not one of those games. You don't lose by that much. I know everyone's saying that, but you don't lose by that much unless there's something wrong within that club. Now, it's up to the club.
So less mechanics and more spiritual?
That was spiritual. Did you watch the game? It was like... It's hard to describe. Just look at the scoreboard. Think of every bad word in football and just then look at the scoreboard. So they've got to ask themselves questions. What is wrong? Because we can all pinpoint little things, but fundamentally, what is wrong within that team? I thought Nathan Buckley's assessment today was really damning, and he's from a guy who coached a team, and he's talking about the fitness of some players. OK, are they too lazy? Are they resting on their laurels? Are they not hungry enough? Have they had their opportunity? Won one flag, and now it's too hard. That looked too hard on the weekend. Fremantle, it wasn't too hard for Fremantle, but it looked really hard for Melbourne. So they have to look within. Now, we can talk about the build-up to the Melbourne game, but everyone can talk, the Collingwood game. Everyone can talk, but the actions will be decided next Monday about this football club. But right now, for Melbourne to be in 10th spot after a 92-point loss at round 12, Jared, good teams don't lose by that much.
Yeah.
They don't. They fight. You can play bad and lose by 40 points. You can. You can clutch onto something for next week. They laid down after the 10-minute mark and didn't get up again. Didn't. Like, seriously, Melbourne supporters at home must be thinking, this is it. We had our time in the sun and now it's disappearing. Suddenly they look old, don't they?
Well, they play like that, they do. Is their incapacity to win a contest was genuinely alarming, given that absolutely is the core of their game. They concede the highest score that they have done under Simon Goodwin on the back of that, so nothing holds up down there. So it was a luxury to even think about what's happening up front when you're only getting it in 37 times. And what was it, 36 in the West Coast game? So it's happened twice in 3 weeks. They don't concede 100 points. They don't conceded 100 points, 3 times in 4 years, and they've done it twice in 3 weeks.
And look at that, you're talking about the midfield. We're talking about the midfield. Gawn, Viney, Oliver, Petrarca, Brayshaw's clearly missed. Pickett's going in there for a little bit. Neil Bullen's going in there for a little bit. You can tell me that midfield is giving up 92 points, losing by 92 points? That group? Come on, there's something wrong. And we don't know what it is, but there's something wrong within the spirit, the attitude. I'll say it again. Jordan Lewis was at that football club to nail them between the eyes because they didn't want to be physical. That is, it's a cliche to say it's an indictment. That is as bad a criticism you can throw at a football club.
Yep. And Simon Goodwin was sort of there to meet it front on in the press conference. You say coaches are talking to their players before they're talking to the rest of us, and that felt very much true.
But he has to take responsibility.
Yeah,
he's the coach.
He's part of it.
Yeah, he's the coach. And I think it's a bit of a lie that the buck stops with the coach. When it's going bad, the coach usually loses their job. But when it's like this is a collective. They're all in it together. They've got to work their way through this new game style. Maybe it is the game style and there's confusion out there. But they look lazy and they look uncommitted. For some reason, they were uncommitted on that day. But they were uncommitted 2 weeks ago, Jared. They wouldn't want to do it again against a depleted Collingwood.
How significantly does it shake your faith in what they're able to do this year?
Oh, yeah, I think everyone's faith is shaken. And don't worry about what our faith is shaken. It's wondering whether the players' faith is shaken. I mean, is there a realisation that, hey, we're in trouble here? Now, they can... you talk to, the fortitude of teams. Often we talk about it. Do they accept it? Do they change it? What can they fix about it? So we watch them, but I think the faith everyone has got in Melbourne took a severe dint. Severe dint.
What about the prospects of Fremantle on the back of it? So the way they played the last portion of the game against Collingwood, where they chewed back 25 points in quick time and unlocked a little bit of what they've been maybe striving for beyond how defensively sound they are, and then they took that through. So everything was based in the core of their midfield, where Sarong has been the banner holder for that. Their defence is so sound with what Pearce is actually able to do. But up front, they were a legitimate threat.
Yeah, they did. They had a lot of... Don't forget Luke Ryan in the back half, mate. Like, seriously, can someone get around to doing something about Luke Ryan? Him and Pearce. I mean, you could argue that they're both in the All-Australian team right now, or certainly in the All-Australian squad. People talk about taking stuff from games going forward, and that last 10 minutes of the Collingwood game, they didn't lay down. At the time, you say, oh, well fought back, well done. You got back, you got a draw, well done. But in a week on, you think to yourself, you know what? They could have laid down. This is too hard, but they didn't lay down. Then they scorched them. Scorched them. Their ball movement, which is being questioned by a lot of people. And... they've been accused of being boring. I mean, they kicked 22-7 or 22-9. 22-9 on the weekend. They looked anything but boring. They played creative, fast, intense football. And they had, you're right, they had a forward group of winners everywhere. The two kids, oh, they're not kids, the two...
Amos Tracy.
20
Jackson
and 21.
Switkowski.
Yeah, and Luke Jackson's, 23? So we've got 20, 21 and 23. Like, if they stay together... That can be a formidable force. Switkowski's underrated. Everything went very, very well for them. They're a threat. They're a threat to a top 4 finish.
Yeah, they're emerging as that.
Yeah, they're in the dance, mate.